Hello and welcome to the Rogers Brief. I'm Adam Rogers. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Today was an important day at the Mass Casualty Commission. This is day 3, but really the first day that the Commission has really engaged with the evidence that they've been gathering over the past nearly 2 years now. And so it was a big day for many people, those most affected, those in the Commission, and the general public watching. Anybody that had been following the coverage over the past 2 years, really since the beginning, will be familiar with some of the details that were laid out today, but there was some new stuff as well, so I'll go through a little bit of that. Now, what today involved was a presentation from Commission Counsel, who's a senior legal aid lawyer, Roger Burrill, a Nova Scotia lawyer. And Mr. Burrill gave the presentation for, I guess, about 4 hours today, maybe a little less than that, talking about the first really hour, a little more than an hour of activity in and around Portapique. And it was his presentation was derived from what's a 91-page foundational document, is what the Commission calls them. And the document itself is available on the Commission's website. It's quite detailed, has a lot of links to other documents that the Commission has in their possession, although the links aren't active at the moment. I guess at some point they will be. But it was, yes, a fair presentation by Mr. Burrill, as I expected it would be given his reputation. And, where they had information that was precise, given, phone call time frames, times on photographs, like date stamps on photographs, then he outlined that. If there was evidence that was a little less certain because it was coming from witness testimony, or if there was several witnesses and it could have meant one thing or another, he was clear on that as well, that there was some question as to portions of the evidence. But overall, I thought it was a fair presentation, although hard to tell, of course, because there's had all kinds of time to prepare for this, and when you give a presentation and you're the one in control of the information, certainly you're going to at least make it internally consistent, which it was. We will see now on Thursday, when the other parties finally get a chance to speak, what they think of the presentation today, the evidence that's been presented so far, whether there's any gaps or conflicting pieces of evidence that they want explored further. So that will come on Thursday, but today was the day to sort of lay out the first hour in great detail. So it was, like I say, the narrative has been under fairly tight control by the Mass Casualty Commission so far. They gave an opening statement. The Commission has presented this evidence today. We haven't heard from any of the other participants yet, and still don't know yet whether we will have witnesses, although again on Thursday we'll hear no doubt some suggestions of potential witnesses. We did hear about the person who most would consider the key or most important witness, and that is Lisa Banfield. We've heard that she's given multiple statements to the police on different occasions, and so we'll be hearing more about those tomorrow. Didn't hear much new today about her, other than what's already been revealed, that there was a celebration of their anniversary that didn't go well, and she was pulled out and put in the back seat of a police car, the replica police car. She managed to escape and then went into the woods where she hid for the night, according to her statement. And again, that was the way Mr. Burrill presented it as well, as anything that dealt with Miss Banfield, it was according to her statement. So any proof of those statements or allegations will have to come later. The other thing we heard today, which was significant, was, well, two things. One is we heard that the DNA of Corey Ellison, who was killed next to the fire of the killer's barn shed where he kept his vehicles, that his DNA was found on the killer's boots later. Now, there had been some allegation or suggestion that Corey Ellison may have been killed accidentally by a police officer, a real police officer, in the course of the events that night. But the fact that his DNA was found on the boots of Gabriel Wortman would tend to dispute that theory or allegation. So we'll see where that goes if anything further comes from it. We also heard a significant piece of evidence that the killer was practically within sight of the RCMP at one point, fairly early on in events. He had shot Andrew McDonald, who was a neighbor. They were both in their vehicles next to each other and pulled out a gun and shot Mr. McDonald in the arm and just missed him with another shot. And then Andrew McDonald left and started driving off to the main highway, to the number 2 highway. And at that point, Wortman followed him for a little while, but then stopped short of the main highway. And at the main highway were the RCMP were stationed there. And Mr. McDonald told them right away what had happened, that it was his neighbor Gabe, and he was driving a police car. So at that point, the RCMP chose not to pursue the killer into Portapique. And so we'll hear from them tomorrow, we'll hear about them tomorrow through Mr. Burrill, what their explanation was for those actions or lack thereof. So that will be a key thing as well. But of all the things that I think happened or were said today, I think what will stick with most people is the description of the Macaulay and the Blair children, ages 8 through 12. There was 4 of them. Neighbors ended up hiding together in one house in very close proximity to the killer at several points, on the phone with 911 for a couple of hours, showed incredible poise, incredible courage, and I think that really certainly made an impact on me, and I'm sure it did on many others. Made an impact on Mr. Burrill as well. You could tell when he was giving this presentation. So some significant things that happened today in the description. This is the best description that the Commission has been able to assemble from the evidence that they've gathered. We'll hear tomorrow sort of the flip side of it, what the police and other first responders were hearing at the time, and to explain some of their reactions to what was happening, what they knew, what they didn't know, why they made certain decisions. We'll hope to hear some of that tomorrow. That was the first day of really any engagement with the evidence today. There was some new things that came out, some significant points which we'll want to hear explained from the RCMP and others. And we'll hear that in due course, hopefully. So a significant week. We'll have 2 more days of presentations from Mr. Burrill. And then on Thursday, it'll be the participants and their lawyers' turn to respond with any gaps or additional details that they think are relevant to this portion of the situation. So, all right, that was day 3 of the Mass Casualty Commission. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back with another report after the evidence concludes tomorrow. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you then.